Hello and welcome back to another Project Diablo 2 video. I am Kordesh and today we're going over my curse support Necromancer. So let's get into it. Alright, so my curse support Necromancer is the evolution of my Dark Pact Necro and I've gone full support. So the first thing we're talking about are the skills. So the most important skill is Curse Mastery, and this allows you to rock 3 curses and then +1 from Dark Force spawn. So as you can see, it says you can apply additional curse. And so yeah, we have 4 curses, and the curses I'm planning on using are Amplify Damage, and I hit the negative 60% hard cap, and yeah, so I do that at around level, I think, 41 or 42, and yeah, so you get some 10% from Curse Mastery. Other than that, we max out Life Tap, because that gives a 58% Life Steal, which is so good for anybody doing physical attacks. And then we also get lower resist to the hard cap of negative 65%, which is very good. If you're running with someone with Conviction, it's not as good because you can't lower past 0 without Pierce, but it's still very, very good. We also have Decrepify, and Decrepify is pretty awesome. Once you get it to a certain point, you only get reduced movement speed. So I have it at the hard cap of, I think, reduced cast and attack speed. And then I started putting some points into Weaken. Now, at this point, I have the negative target's defense capped at negative 60%, and it decreases damage by 1% every time you put a point into it. So from there, we have nothing in Poison and Bone. For summoning, we have 1 point in Clay Golem, 1 point in Blood Golem, and then 1 point in Blood Warp. I did put 10 hard points into Golem Mastery, and that's so I can get 3 Blood Golems. And this is really just for my own safety and benefit. You see, Clay Golem kind of gives you some... Sorry, not Clay Golem. Sorry. Blood Golem gives you life gain on hit. So as these things slap, you're getting about 100 health, which is kind of nice. And they're pretty tanky with... you know, they're just pretty tanky. So I'll go to, like, someplace that's a little dangerous. And if I throw out my curses on stuff, I mean... You know, I have a support character, and this stuff is dying pretty quickly. And that's because my Merc is awesome, but... With that Life Tap, with that Decrepify, the Clay Golems don't die very often. As I do Ubers, sometimes I have to resummon them, but most of the time, I don't think I've ever had to resummon them in an actual map. Only in, like, Uber fights. So yeah, that's it for the skills. Alright, let's talk about the gear. So, jumping in, we have the Black Hand Key, and this is just very good. +5, you know, +5 to your curses, effectively. We got faster cast rate, life, some fire res. The Grimoire is nice. Don't forget about it. You don't have enough charges to throw it out constantly, but things like map bosses, things like maybe Ubers, try and find a corpse if it benefits your party and no one else is bringing it. You know, after you apply your 4 curses, you have plenty of time to just kind of do nothing, so feel free to throw that out there. Next up, I have a Circlet. I have a +2 Necro Circlet with 10 FCR, and a lot of these resistances come from the fact that it's socketed, so you can grab a Larzik's puzzle piece for very cheap and throw it into it, and you can get some nice resistances. I have an and an Ort, and that's just because those are the resistances that I needed. But yeah, this is pretty inexpensive. I would definitely recommend something like this. As far as my chest piece, I have a upped Skin of the Viper Magi. As you can see, it's 1,000 defense. It's pretty amazing. We have a +1 corruption, so we have +2 to all skills. And then we have an rune in it. I probably should have used a puzzle box on this, but, you know, what you gonna do? I think I have enough resistances, so it doesn't really matter. As far as my amulet, I have a +3 curses. I'm looking for a +4 curses, but realistically, it doesn't seem to matter that much because I've already said that the amplified damage and lower resist is at the hard cap, so it would only increase like the radius or duration, maybe. I think it's just the duration, actually. So that doesn't really matter. It would increase the movement speed penalty by 1%, and it would increase the target's damage by 1% from Weaken. So a minor upgrade, but really not anything that's going to make or break the build at all. So that's what we got there. We have the Dark Force spawn. This is mandatory. You need one with +2 curses and apply an additional curse. I just have a perfect diamond in mind just to get a little bit more resistances. The Trang's gloves are +2 to curses, so they're best in slot as far as gloves go. The faster cast rate is great, helps you hit the breakpoint, and then any corruption here is whatever you think is good for your build. You know, if you look at my resistances, I'm pretty good around the board. So this poison res corruption is totally fine by me. You could absolutely get some really insane corruptions, but you know, this is just the best one that I've landed on. As far as my jewelry, I've got 2 Stones of Jordan for the skills, and then an Arachnid's Mesh. As you can see, I'm actually over the cast rate by about 11, so I could drop, the 10 FCR on my helmet, or, do something else, or maybe even, like, run, like, Enigma or something. Actually, that would be too much FCR. But anyway, so yeah, so you can play around with this. I just like, these 3 spots, because I have them, I might as well use them. And yeah, pretty good stuff. As far as my boots, I still don't have CBF on anything else, so we're just rocking Marowaks, and this has some PDR on it, which is kind of nice. I will say this only has 20 faster run walk, which is pretty slow. I do have a little bit on my helmet, but I'm pretty slow as far as characters go, as far as running around. So there are better boots, absolutely, but, I need CBF to not die. As far as the charms, we got curses across the board. I'm going to start upgrading these to +1 and life curses. We have a very nice torch, a 56-18 +2 to Necro. And then I have a Corrupted Annihilus, which gives extra experience gain, and it's pretty decent with 35 Vite and 17 resistances. My charms are generally just resistance charms, because I've been doing a lot of Ubers, and I don't want to get zeroed out. And that's it for the gear. Now, let's go ahead and talk about my Mercenary. So, as you can see, my Mercenary is an Act 3 Mercenary. And you might be wondering, why the hell am I running an Act 3 Mercenary? Well, it's because the Fire Mercenary brings the Cleansing Aura, and I believe the way that this works, I could be wrong, but I believe the way that this works is plus to all skills can up that aura. So it starts off at level 18, and we've got +2 to all skills, so it's, level 20, level 21, level 23, level 24. So we have a level 24 Cleansing Aura, which is very good. I've noticed that really the only time my party was ever in danger was when they had amplified damage, lower resist, basically curses or poisons that were lingering for way too long. Having this Mercenary, he really doesn't die very often. I've ran probably about 40 Uber Tristrams with him, and he's died once. And it was because I'm an idiot. Basically, I telestomped on top of Diablo while also having lower resist on me and all my golems and my Mercenary, and was face taking him for far too long. I barely survived, but my Mercenary didn't get out of the way, and he did die. So he's actually pretty damn powerful, and I'm going to go over his gear. So we have a Hexfire, and this could be something else. You could rock something different, like you could rock a Spirit or an Insight or whatever, but I just kind of wanted him to do a little bit more damage. It's possible it might be better for me to use plus to all skills so I can upgrade his, Cleansing Aura more, but at this point I think it's just fine how it is. Here, I'll pull up his stats. So as you can see, all the plus skills grant Elemental Mastery, so he has 380% increased fire damage, and he has 40% fire pierce. So pretty cool stuff. His FCR breakpoint is at 86. I think it's really hard to get the 138. So I like this 86, and I'm at 110 FCR, and I think that's pretty damn good. So anyways, yeah, so he hits pretty hard. This damage doesn't actually show his damage, but I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to bring him to, like, some random zone. So let's say Glacial Trail or something. So I'm going to run around and I'm going to decrepify things, and then I'm going to lower res. And as you can see, he just he just kills stuff, My golems don't do very much damage, so it's really all him. If I could find some monsters, that'd be nice. Yeah, so he really does slap. It's not a meme, it's not a joke. And in maps, he stays well out of harm's way, and stuff just kind of dies. Another reason why I actually like the Fire Mercenary is because he casts Fireball and Meteor does physical damage. And when I'm bringing -65 lower res and -60 PDR from amp damage and -10% from Decrepify, Meteor both does fire damage and physical, so really benefiting from my curses a ton. I'd also like to mention that his 40 Elemental Pierce is pretty damn good with low resist, because if I zero them out, that Pierce applies at 0.5%, so he's effectively doing damage like the monster has -20 to fire resistance if they're zeroed out. So a really fun Mercenary build, very different, and that Cleansing Aura is just so good, and I find that unless I'm running with someone that has a Plague, there's no way that anyone else has Cleansing, and I just think that it's completely invaluable. And that's how I built out my Merc. Alright, so here's a little bit of a map showcase. It's a pretty juiced up River of Blood. And I was running with this group for a while. There's some funny stuff that'll happen, so I'll have like a 30-second clip at the end of this. That's pretty funny. And yeah, we're running around. We're casting all 4 of our curses, which is Decrepify, Lower Resist, Amplify Damage, and Life Tap. I think I go Decrep first, then Life Tap for the survivability, then Amplify Damage because we have much more physical than elemental damage in this group, and then Life Tap. But really, you can customize based on the group that you're on, like running with. And then for bosses, I skip Decrepify because you can't apply those to bosses, so I just go, Life Tap, Amp, Lower Resistance, and then Weaken. But yeah, so I'm just casting my curses, trying to keep up with the group. And yeah, they're trying to tell me to slam the Griffins. So we found a Griffins, and it's got really good rolls. And I happen to win it out of the group because we rolled for stuff that's like worth a mal or higher, and they really want me to slam it. So and I'm like, no, not yet. I did end up slamming it, and I totally bricked it. So I guess that's karma for not doing it. But I did it for my friend while on Discord, and he was not thrilled that I slammed it just so he could, just for his viewing displeasure, I guess. And because I was just gonna give it to him after I slammed it, but I was like, oh, I'm definitely gonna slam it first. So he was pissed. But anyways, back to the map. We're just throwing up curses, letting the teammates crush stuff, and I mean we're just flying through this map. It's pretty dense, high danger levels on River of Blood, but this is a really good map to run with other people because it's so big that there's just like density is very good. It's a pretty big map, but also the layout is kind of like almost like a figure 8. So if you just like stay all the way on the left or all the way on the right, you can kind of do like giant loops and you'll clear all the content, which is really good because in public games, whenever there's like a area where it can split up, like your entire party gets split up for literally no reason. Anyway, here's the Chamroon. It drops, and yeah, so this is the funny stuff that happens. I'm just going to skip it because I'm going to have it more zoomed in and be better later. Plap says, hi, Reddit. I did make a post about it on Reddit. Like I said, at the end of the video, I'll have it highlighted, much easier to see, but it's really funny what happens there. So stay to the end to get that nice little zoomed-in footage. And I'm telling them that I'm recording. And yeah, so anyway, yeah, we're just having a good time. And that's the thing, is like with public games, people are pretty friendly. So oftentimes it's like whoever's rolling the maps will get like either all the World Stone Shards or the first one, and all the maps are tier 3 maps depending on what they want. And then anything that's like worth mal or higher is just everybody rolls on it with the .roll command. And it's been pretty straightforward. Like I haven't seen anyone like ninja an item or anything, and that's because in Project Diablo 2, if you are scamming people or cheating and stuff, you can report those people, and then they will just get like permanently banned. Like that, stuff like that is just not tolerated in this community. So if you have proof that somebody is being a scumbag, then it's very easy to get them punished for it. So that has made a very friendly and fun playing culture, and I absolutely love it. Pretty much 95% of my trades I've used just drop trading, where I just drop it on the ground, and mainly that was out of necessity because of the bug existing that could possibly mess up your stash tabs as you're trading. But that's kind of become the norm now, and again, since everybody's so friendly and cool, like it's really not a big deal. So yeah, anyway, this map's not super exciting. It's just like, I mean, we're just clearing. We have a really good group comp. We've got fantastic buffs, curses, damage, and yeah, I mean, we're just flying through it. I mean, literally flying through it. To be honest, I kind of was trying to figure out, like, what's a better way I can get a little bit more move speed while having CBF, because I'd like to be able to run a little bit faster. But, yeah, we are just flying through. And it's a lot of fun. The experience is great. I think in this video I hit 94, which I'm about halfway to 95 now. So, still making pretty good progress. Still going to try and go for that 99. And, yeah, just really, really fast. And, yeah, I was referencing that Chamroon dropping. So, yeah. And it looks like we're just about finished up with this River of Blood. I have some other videos, but the footage isn't as good because I was typing a lot. Other people were typing a lot, so we weren't, we were still going pretty quickly, but, it's not as interesting. Oh, one last thing I did want to note. That map took it was like a 6 minute full clear. I have the footage on it. It took 6 minutes to clear all of it. So really, really fast. I mean, if you have a good group, you can obliterate maps very quickly. And the curse support necro is a force multiplier, increasing the damage of the group by maybe like 2 to 3 times. So it's really great. Love this build. Alright, so that's it for the Curse Support Necromancer. I realize that this build is definitely not for everyone, and that's okay. I love support builds, and if you do too, then I highly recommend trying this one out. Before I do the outro, I am going to have that 30-second clip of the funny thing that happened while I was doing that group map, so stick around for that, and I'll see you next time.
Oh man, that's a bummer. Might fuck this whole thing up.